Hello again, Struckpop. Today I'm bringing you my early impressions video for Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance, which will feature more of a personal kind of opinion about the game, because I can give you a proper subjective review of the game. This is not like a proper review, this is more of a what I think about the game, based on my point of view, based on my personal preferences and tastes of what I like to see in a game. So think of it as that way. So Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance is an aRPG developed by Tuque Games and published by Wizards of the Coast, which is owned by Hasbro, the big corp behind it. The game released on June 22nd, 2021 for PlayStation, Xbox and PC, which features both the Steam version and the Microsoft Xbox Store version. It is also available for both the PC and Xbox versions of the Game Pass, the Xbox Game Pass, and the game kind of got shredded and destroyed by various people reviewing it on Steam, and that's for many reasons. But after playing it for several hours yesterday, I can say that it's not as bad as people make it out to be. It's true that there are a lot of things that seem unpolished, with, for example, the co-op, and there are some badly designed features, such as the looting mechanic that only rewards at the end of the mission. Which should be illegal in a game, in a looter game. But it happens sadly in some games, such as Necromunda, which I gave a lot of flack for this. And there is a lot of fun to be had in the game. Take all those bugs and glitches aside, there is definitely a lot of fun times that you can have in the game. Let's start with the story. The story in Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance is inspired by the books of the best-selling fantasy author R.A. Salvatore. The narrative is split into different quests that are like mini campaigns that each are split into 3 acts. Acts 1, 2 and 3 each feature their own dungeon or map that the players can explore with the boss fight at the end. Act 3 is normally where the boss fights will be tougher, bigger bosses, whereas Acts 1 and 2 will feel like fighting mini bosses. The game also features various cutscenes that appear when you start the map and sometimes when you reach the boss arena. I've also noticed that on the map menu, where you select what missions you want to do, there is a narration or a voiceover for each of those acts that introduces us to what is going on and why we need to do the mission. Now let's talk about the heroes, the playable characters. The game features 4 playable characters, with a 5th one, a mage, that will come in late fall 2021. Those are Drist, who is kind of the assassin. After fleeing his home, Drist now fights to protect Icewind Dale from the threat of the Crystal Shard. Drist wields 2 scimitars with lightning-quick ferocity and can call on his Astral Panther, Guinevere, I guess is how you pronounce it, for devastating attacks. Then there's Wolfgar, who is kind of like a warrior, 2-handed hammer warrior. After 5 years of imprisonment, Wolfgar learned there's more to life than the conflict of the Elk tribe. With his colossal hammer and thirst for adventure, the Rekhet barbarian will now venture headlong into danger and crush any foe who dare threaten his home. Now there's Catibri, the archer, the ranger. Relentless optimist Catibri was raised by Bruenor, our 4th hero, and the grumpy Battlehammer dwarves. With deadly accurate bow and arrows, Catibri will see the Dale free from the forces that seek the shard. And then there's Bruenor, our dwarven tank. Having lost his throne to the invasion of monsters seeking the Crystal Shard, Bruenor now uses his axe and shield to plow through his enemies with ease. But that won't stop him from grumbling about it. So those 4 heroes will be kind of what you can play right now, and eventually we will have a mage. I think it should be legal in games, looter games, in the fantasy realm, to not feature a mage class when they launch. I think what a game would really need on launch is to have a tank character, assassin character, a ranger character and a mage. This game decided to have a warrior while omitting the mage, which I think the better move would have been to release the mage and then to add Wolfgar later as a paid DLC rather than the way they're doing it. But this is just my opinion, so that's pretty much about the characters. Now, the next one is the combat. The combat feels very fluid at times and on some heroes and very clunky at other times. For example, on the archer, I had to hold down my aiming button to make sure my shots actually hit stuff and not just randomly fire in a terrible fashion. Sure, this can be also solved by walking onto a single target, which kind of sucks if you wanna spam AoE shots, but that also switched the field of view and camera angle to a ridiculously terrible one that feels atrociously uncomfortable to use. Then on the assassin, there is some clunky movement when dodging or when you wanna rotate the camera. The camera rotation is very inconsistent and just breaks that nice fluidity that the combo moves provide. This is most likely not true for other platforms, for consoles, but on PC it is true, and the game kind of feels like a console port on PC. So this brings me to the good parts about the combat, the combo moves that feel very fluid and fun to mess around with, especially on Drist. I hope the devs look into the camera movement and field the view more and try to accomplish something maybe similar to what Godfall's camera movement and rotation during combat feels like. That's the closest thing combat-wise I've played recently, and that I can think of a comparison, but I think Godfall did it pretty nicely. So have to think about that, whether the devs will improve that or not, it's up to them, but this is my feedback in that regard. And this brings us to the wood and looting mechanics. The looting mechanics are kind of strange. Sometimes they're very user-friendly, whereas other times it feels like a complete 180 turn. There are cases where wood will be picked up by one player and everyone else in the team gets that wood. And then there are times when other players open a chest and the wood will not automatically go into everyone's inventory, but rather drop on the ground separately, and every player will need to go there and pick up their own instanced drop. Then there's also the various gold pouches and sacks that also need to be manually picked up, not by each player, but one of the players needs to go and pick them up, and then it goes to everyone's inventory. But see, that's a problem. It could have been much better. It could have been so that when you go past one gold pouch or a sack, it gets automatically collected without you needing to press E to collect or whatever hotkey the collection is on other platforms. Yeah, just passing through it within its vicinity and it gets automatically picked up. That would be the better way to handle this. So again, hopefully the devs look into adding some quality of life in this regard as well. And this brings me to the gear system. There's a lot to talk about and I've split it into various segments, such as upgrading gear, upgrading materials, upgrading consumables, skins, transmogs, etc. So the optimization is where I really love the game and hope to see some quality of life improvements and features being implemented. There are various sets in the game that feature set bonuses at 3 pieces, 5 pieces and 8 pieces. The total number of equipped items is 8. So combinations of 3 pieces from one set and 5 pieces from another different set will be possible, and they would allow some depth to the build diversity. On top of that, there are 5 item rarities: common, uncommon, rare, epic and legendary. But legendary doesn't seem to bring anything more than just more affixes and higher numbers of affixes. So when one rarity gets improved to another, you just get one extra affix, and then the numbers on those affixes and the base stats on the item are slightly better. But that's kind of boring, and I would like to see some improvements, and those are: I would like to see adding unique items that are not parts of sets that give special abilities or effects or procs, similar to other games like Diablo, Path of Exile, Torchlight 3, just to name a few. Even Godfall has some such, because it doesn't have a set system. Then I would like also to see a system that allows us to upgrade the rarity of an item. So I can take a common item and make it uncommon. I can take an epic and make it legendary. That would be amazing. Then adding a system that lets us upgrade the tier or rank of an item. So I can take a very good road legendary tier 1 item and then upgrade it to tier 2 and then to tier 3 and so on as the tiers ranks of items grow. Now let's talk about the upgrading gear system. We have this upgrading gear system which is kind of whacking at the moment. This allows us to upgrade up to 2 times every piece of equipment for the cost of gold and shards. This will increase the base stats as well as the randomly rolled affixes of each item, and that's pretty much about it. Seems pretty incomplete to me the way it is. And then we have the system to upgrade materials. There are 5 material rarities in the game as well: common, uncommon, rare, epic and legendary. Again, those materials are called shards and they can be found by destroying clusters or nodes of crystals that are spread around every map slash dungeon in the game. Those can be exchanged but by upgrading or downgrading, and the rates at such rates that switching back and forth does not result in a loss. For example, 10 common equals 1 uncommon shard when upgrading, and vice versa, where 1 uncommon shard can be downgraded and broken down into 10 common shards. In the same way, 8 uncommon equals 1 rare, 6 rare equals 1 epic, and 3 epic equals 1 legendary shard or shards. So I think it's a good system. I think I love that system. I would also love to see more use for those shards, such as the things I suggested earlier, upgrading the rarity and upgrading the tier of an item. Those would be very nice things, quality of life things to add to that system as use of those shards. Because right now the shards are used for the upgrade system, which I said seems lacking. And that's the only place where they serve a purpose for the time being. And this brings us to the upgrading consumables system, which is only done with gold. It's a fun little system that lets us unlock new consumables as well as upgrade them up to level 5. When you unlock it, it starts at level 1. There are a total of 8 consumables. That can be mixed and matched to fill a total of 4 consumable slots. Each one has a different cost to unlock or upgrade, but in general the higher the level of upgrade, the more it costs, and each upgrade features an equivalent increment. For example, each HP potion upgrade gives you extra 10% HP restored from 50 to 60, then to 70, then to 80, and then to 90 at level 5. Or the Alchemist's Fire, granting you 25 more physical damage to the bomb with each upgrade, from 150 to 175 to 200% and so on. I think it's a nice system. It adds a little bit of diversity and extra flavor, but it's nothing to wow anyone. But it's still not bad. Now let's talk about skins and transmogs. This system kind of allows you to select one item and then just make it look differently. So let's take this Goblin Reaper quiver. You can see how it changes the skin, and it also changes some of the texture. And a nice example is this. You can see how this is kind of like soft, fluid, smooth texture, but now we have a texture with some sort of rune patterns on it, and now this is again more of a soft texture, and now we have a texture with scales, and then another texture with scales, slightly different yet the same as this one, but the color is different. So it's not just a simple reskin, but what this system lacks is it lacks the ability to take one item and make it look like another item. Let's say I want to take this thing and make it look like this thing. So what they need to do is improve that system. It's fine, I love it. I love that system for what it is. It's good to allow us to change the equipment that actually is seen. Obviously you can't remodel the necklace and the ring, but I like that we can reskin the other ones. I just want to see a transmogrify, not just a reskin system. I want to be able to change my leg guards to look like different leg guards. Let's say I wanna look like all of it to look like the cold resistance set without wearing the cold resistance set. Or let's say I want this one because it's plate armor. So devs, if you end up watching and listening this, consider when you have spare development time to implement a proper remodel system, not just a reskin. That is done separately from the recovering. So maybe adding a few tabs here. Under skins, one tab is remodel, another tab is reskin. It's a good system, I love it, but it feels incomplete. It's still better than nothing though. Now this brings us to the build diversity, which comes, I guess, from feats, moves, abilities and attributes. There are several elements other than the gear that provide us with build diversity, customization of our hero. As I mentioned, those are feats, moves, abilities and attributes. I'm gonna start with the feats. Feats are passive bonuses that are split into various different trees that always sum up to a total of 21 feats. For example, Kati, Bree, Drist and Bruenor have 3 feat trees that include 8, another 8 and then 5 feats. Whereas Wolfgar, his feat trees are split into 8 plus 7 plus 6, which again adds to a total of 21 feats that can be unlocked for both, for all of them, for all heroes. Which is kind of not so bad, having 21 feats, each of them costing 1 feat point. The question here is, how many feat points can we get? I still do not know what the maximum number of feat points we can earn is. We do get feat points as we level up, but there's also some feat points that we can get in maps, in dungeons, as a one-time pickup, one-time bonus. But I don't know if every single dungeon features such. And if so, then that adds up to more than 21, because the maximum level, even though I don't know what the maximum level is, I know level 15 exists, and if there's 21 maps and 15 levels, and you get 1 feat point every level, and you don't get one at the first one, that's still 21. That's still 21 plus 14. That's still 14 more. Again, we have to think of what the max level is here, and I don't know that, and I don't know what the maximum number of feats is. But if we assume that there's a total of 21 feat points and we can max out everything, this really means no real build diversity here when maxed out. But there is build diversity when you're leveling up, and it will be crucial to select the right feats when leveling up if you want to maximize your DPS or survivability or spamminess of skills. Next we can talk about moves. There are 14 total moves for each hero to unlock, and there are 2 types of moves: combo moves and abilities, which is kind of our skills. The combo moves are performed by executing a combination of hotkeys in a certain order, or by holding a hotkey when a certain condition is met. Whereas the abilities are skills that can be equipped in one of the 2 slots dedicated to abilities. And both of those are unlocked by spending gold. And just gold, no other things are needed. So that means eventually all of those will be maxed out and unlocked, so no real diversity here. Or is there? Now let's talk about the abilities. Here is where the diversity kind of comes in a little. Not much, but a little. Abilities are this game skills. They can be slotted equipped in one of the 2 slots dedicated to abilities. And from what I've seen so far, each hero can unlock 2 more abilities on top of the starting 2 for a total of 4 to mix and match. However, the abilities menu shows 8 ability slots. 8 unlockable abilities slots. So maybe they will add 4 more abilities later, or maybe they already are added and I just don't know and I haven't figured out from where one unlocks them. There also appears to be an ability upgrades icon. When you see the ability skin, you're gonna see there's those 3 little bars equal to the little bars on the gear that show the upgrade level of the gear. So here's what I think. Those ability upgrades either don't exist yet and will be added later, or I haven't unlocked them yet, or they were removed and the UI icons did not get updated to reflect that. Maybe they had them before, decided it's overpowered and removed them. Whichever the case is, hopefully the devs shed some light soon about this. Attributes. There are 6 attributes in the game which can be upgraded with attribute points, which you can earn when leveling up, as well as, similar to feats, when you do some maps you can find some hidden one-time pickups in the stages, in the maps, in the dungeons. I don't know if every dungeon has it, but some of them definitely do. So there is strength. Improves physical damage and armor, then dexterity improves crit chance and crit damage, constitution improves HP, stamina, which is used for combos, abilities and dodging, and stamina regeneration. Intelligence, which improves elemental damage, condition penetration and reduces the cooldown timers. Then there's wisdom, improves resistance to elemental damage and condition resistance. And finally we have charisma, which improves the ultimate and increases our proximity radius, which I have no idea what proximity radius means. Now here is a question that many of you might have been asking themselves. Is there any end game in the game? Well, there is something that can be considered as end game, and those are those 3 missions, which are the Mask of Kelvin, Crystalline Dreams and the Fury of Icewind. You have to complete the first 4 sets of missions, the first 4 quests, which all have 3 acts, 3 maps. So once you complete those 12 maps, you unlock the Mask of Kelvin. Once you complete Mask of Kelvin, which has its own 3 masks, you have the Crystalline Dreams. And once you complete the Crystalline Dreams, you can do the Fury of Icewind. Here's the thing, I don't know if those actually have 3 maps, or whether they're just a single map, single run. If they are a single map, single run, that would be kind of disappointing, because instead of 9 new end game, late game maps, there would be 3. But why do I say that this is the end game? Well, look at that. Let's select any mission, and you can see there's Adventurer, Hero, Guardian, Champion, Legend, and then Ascended. But there is a new difficulty, another extra difficulty, which is called Vanquisher. Vanquisher is the 7th difficulty rating, and apparently Vanquisher is only available in those maps. And Vanquisher apparently has a requirement of 4000. But maybe that's old news. See, that's some of the news I could find. I found a screenshot where it says Hero is 1250, but Hero is actually the 2nd difficulty now, and the first is Adventurer. On that screenshot, Guardian is the next, 1500, sure, okay, but we have Adventurer, Hero, Guardian, not Hero, Guardian. So did they add Adventurer, and some of the footage I'm seeing is old? Most likely. But that still doesn't mean that there won't be another difficulty here on those maps that has a 4000 requirement rank. And Vanquisher, requiring 4000 gear score or combat power, as the game calls it, will be what you wanna grind. You would keep grinding there, and the item range will be rank 4 and 5. And Ascended also features item range 4 and 5. As you can see, this is 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4, 3 and 4, and 4 and 5. And then the other one there, just as an example, one of those missions gives you item range 4 and 5, guaranteed wood 2. This is the guaranteed wood depends on the map, so that's at the end when completing the map. Then there's the goat. Again, the higher the map, whether it's Act 1, 2 or 3 of a certain map, it's different. Obviously Act 1 will feature less goat and Act 3 more goat. Then there's gonna be some materials guaranteed and experience, and one of those screenshots I found shows 1400 experience and 9 legendary shards as materials, which is pretty nice. So yeah, those difficulty settings, those difficulty levels right now for the base missions stop at Ascended, but there will be Vanquisher added here after Ascended. And the old systems didn't have Adventurer, but now there is Adventurer as the first difficulty, which is pretty nice as an introductory kind of difficulty. So that pretty much is gonna be the end game. Whether everyone likes it, I'm pretty sure not everyone would like it. It would feel like recycled, boring, repetitive. What is different about those 3 quest campaigns is, when comparing them to the other ones, is Vanquisher. Apart from Vanquisher, as I mentioned, you have to complete the first ones, the first 4 campaigns and quests to unlock them, and then you unlock them in a certain order. So whether this total of 12 plus 9 or 12 plus 3, that remains to be confirmed, maps will be enough, remains to be seen. In the end, you would still probably be, if you're farming Vanquisher, you would be doing those 9 or 3 maps, and it's gonna get very repetitive very quickly. However, the devs have already promised new levels to come as free DLCs in the summer and the fall, and they will each unlock the new quest with 3 new dungeons. Those will hopefully feature Vanquisher as a selectable difficulty. And the fall DLC apparently will also feature a new difficulty. It set new difficulty rankings. That leads me to believe there will be new difficulty ratings, difficulty settings higher than Vanquisher, which pretty much means there's gonna be either a 7 difficulty or maybe even an 8 difficulty, because it's plural. It remains to be seen, but this is both good and bad in caps lock news, because it practically means boring power creep incoming. New levels are always welcome, but why make our old gear trash gear and useless, and make us farm new gear that can handle the new content? This pretty much renders our old gear useless, and this is a big slap in the face to the player base if they do it in such a way. But that surely, and we surely have put precious time and sweat into farming those items, so definitely a big slap in the face. However, if they add a quality of life feature that lets us upgrade our old items tiers or ranks by sacrificing a solid chunk of materials, that would solve this whole problem and no one would be bothered by it. So this pretty much sums up my thoughts on the endgame. I still haven't reached it, I still haven't started farming those maps. To some of them that wouldn't seem like endgame, it would just seem like more of the same, but that's pretty much it. You're gonna be farming those 12 missions up to Ascended, and then this and this, those 3 quests would feature Vanquisher as the final difficulty. To get notified when I upload more content for this game or other games like this one, which would be wooters of all varieties, isometric, third-person aRPGs, wooter shooters and all sorts of wooters like that, you could subscribe to my channel and hit that bell button to not miss out on my content updates. And optionally, you can even join as a member of the Struck Club on YouTube as a channel member to get access to exclusive perks such as special emotes custom made by me, special badges custom made by me that represents how many months you have been a member for, as well as opt-in of editing tutorials that I can give for Photoshop, Adobe Premiere, as well as shoutouts and things like that. And I would like to use this part of the video to thank all my YouTube members and Twitch subscribers. Thank you for supporting the channel and keeping me going. Thank you also for watching this video, everyone. Keep it cool, Struck Up. Until next time, and goodbye.